welcome back to my channel. Thank you for the likes, the comments, the subscription, and thank you for everything so far. Today I'm gonna go straight into the point and share with you some things that I have learned as a Ghanaian living in the US for over a year. So these are more like cultural things that I have learned and observed, and I would want you to also know if you intend on coming into the US to study or to work or whatever. I believe I'm a strong advocate of intercultural communication competence, and I believe that it's very essential for us to equip ourselves with cultural knowledge and cultural competence. That way, as we have decided to move out of our comfort zone to come into a culturally different setting, we can learn the things that goes on in that cultural setting and apply that to their lives. Today, people value people with intercultural communication skills, where they're able to communicate with people regardless of their cultural backgrounds or cultural differences. And so the first thing is that Americans, so this is specifically for people living in America or wanting to come to America or the United States. So Americans love and value their personal space. So this is more from a cultural perspective, because America is generally an individualistic country where they value individual things and not so much of a collectivist, where collectivists as compared to individualistic people are more of like community, more of like family, more of like things like that. So if you compare Ghana to America, America is more of an individualistic culture where they place themselves first and they value themselves and their nuclear families more than the community or society at large. So an American can be here, something can be happening to you outside there, like it's not their business, they can just watch on. And moving on, the other thing that Americans value most is punctuality. So if you have a meeting, especially for students or people who are working, if you have a meeting with somebody and the meeting is going to start at 12 p.m, please make sure that you're on time. Make sure you're commuting or getting ready, and if it's online, that you're getting there before 12, and if it's in person, you're also traveling or commuting to the meeting venue before it's time, because they have a high value for time, and the time culture here is different from what we have back home in our cultures and in our different countries. So please make sure, I have observed and I'm telling you from a personal experience, that Americans value time. It's more or less like a Western thing. I believe Westerners value time and they're always on time and punctual, and so that's kind of African timing thing doesn't work here. So even if you're going to go to work, you're going to go to school, you're going to submit assignments, papers, things like that, make sure that you have a high value and respect for time, because it's one thing that they value the most. And if you want to live here and thrive here, you have to respect time. So yes, time. The other thing that I want to talk about is direct communication. So direct communication, I have observed and I have experienced, and I know that is one of the ways in which Americans communicate with people, and they value direct communication as opposed to people who are from cultures that are more like collectivist, a culture that has a high power dynamic where they respect authorities and they respect other people. They are more or less like very reserved and very mindful of the things that they say to people. That way they don't come off as rude. And so here, because of the low power dynamic or the low power index here, where I mean that low power index means that everybody sees each other as equal, and so you are calling people by their first names and nobody really cares about titles and roles and things like that. That's the power dynamic index. So because people have a low value for things like that here, they are very direct when it comes to communication. So they are not sugarcoating words, they are not going about the bush and things like that. They are communicating directly and making sure that people understand each other. So if you're from a country with a very high power index where you respect authority, you try to save face, you are shy, you don't speak up, it's going to be hard for you to kind of thrive here. And I believe that as you come here and you observe things like this, you're going to adjust and you're going to get better. So don't worry about all these things. You learn as time goes on. Certain experiences will force you to learn and force you to come out of your comfort zone in order for you to be able to thrive here. So there's that too. I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about is individualism. So as I've talked about earlier, about respecting personal space, Americans more value their individual self. So they place themselves forward, they think about themselves first before they think about what other people have to say about them. So they are more like individualistic and more, they value individualism more. So these are cultural characteristics that are associated with people who live here or people who are from here. So they are more thinking about themselves. They don't really care about community and what other people are thinking. Even those things have changed and people, like, depends on the individual, right? So but in general, they're more like individualistic people and they value their selves and place themselves forward before others. So make sure that when you come here, you know when somebody is being individualistic, they're not being offensive and you don't take those things personal. So yeah, I think the other thing that I wanted to talk about is diversity. So America is a very diverse country in the first place. Even the United States, when you travel across all the different states in America, you realize that the people there are very distinct and they are very different. And so you cannot find the same people living in the same states. Every state has their different or unique characteristics, and the people that live there portray unique experiences and things like that. So diversity is one of the things that is highly valued here, because in order for us to live together peacefully and successfully, we need to respect other people's religion, their identities, their cultures, and make sure that we are accepting and welcoming of everything. That's how come everybody lives here, and people from different parts of the world are able to live here. So diversity is one of the things that people in America value. So if you're coming into the US, know that diversity is one of the things that you would have to build yourself to be able to deal with people and to relate with people from different backgrounds, different countries, different identities, different religions, and things like that. So there's not like a one-size-fits-all approach to this. Study and make sure that you're competent with difference and know how to relate to people of different backgrounds and different cultures. So that means that you're being mindful of the kind of conversations that you're having with people, the kind of words that you're using, the kind of verbals and non-verbals that you're using when you're talking to people, because what seems right to you might not be right to the other person. So again, ask people their level of comfortability when it comes to certain topics. If you want to ask about personal things, ask them if it's okay to ask them. If they don't want to tell you, they'll let you know. If they want to talk about it, they'll let you know. Make sure you're addressing people by their right names. So ask them, so what would you want me to call you, instead of assuming things. So one of the ways to be very competent when it comes to dealing with people in diverse settings is to avoid assumptions and ask questions. So ask questions for clarity, for understanding, to be able to know how to relate with other people of different backgrounds. So yeah, I think that the other thing that I wanted to talk about is small talk. So small talk are basically conversation starters. So when you meet somebody, small talk enables you guys to start a conversation and keep the conversation going. So Americans like to have small talk, and they like to find out things about you before they start talking to you. So you might find out that they might say something like, oh, the weather is very cold today, yeah? Or maybe talk about sports, talk about current events and things like that, just to keep, or maybe you wearing like a dress they like, or you wearing something they like. These are things just to get conversations going. So make sure that you keep yourself abreast with some kind of knowledge in order to be able to start small talk and small conversations. Again, you have to check with people their comfortability when it comes to small talk, and most people don't like small talks. Most people avoid people because of small talk. So again, make sure that you're making yourself aware of these things in order to be competent when it comes to dealing with people from a different cultural setting as yours. I think in general today, these are the things that I wanted to share with you about building cultural competence when it comes to moving out of your comfort zone and studying abroad. And this is one of the experiences studying abroad gives you. And these days, recruiters and people who are employing people for jobs want people with high communication skills with people from different backgrounds, and people who value diversity, equity, and inclusion, and people who are able to thrive successfully in different cultural settings. And so I believe study abroad does that. And so don't undermine your experiences when you travel outside of your home country. You are very competent in dealing with people from different backgrounds, and that is an advantage for you. So today, that's all I want to talk about. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please try as much as possible to do that. Click on the notification bell, and if you have any questions, concerns, comments, even feedback from me on the way I am doing on this channel, please let me know. Please be kind with your words. I'm just learning every day and making sure that I share with you everything that I've learned. So thank you so much for watching up to this point, and see you in my next video. Bye.